Hey guys, welcome to Southern Gal True Crime, where we feature missing persons, solved cases, cold cases, and more. And today I have a story of survival to bring to you. Um, Usually I bring stories of cold cases that have not been solved, but I came across this story, and some of you may have heard of it. I'd heard a little bit about it. Um, and it's concerning Vanessa Bennett. And she survived he's been called the hammer killer, the claw hammer killer. This story, or this incident took place in 1984 in Aurora, Colorado. The Bennett family was just one of the families that this person killed. The Bennett family, which Vanessa is a part of, she survived. She was 3 years old when this happened, but her mother, her father, and her sister were unfortunately killed by this offender. And I have an article to give you a little background of this case in case you've never heard of it. And then I have an article, an interview with Vanessa about what she went through and what her life has been like since this happened. And it's on one hand, it's a very tragic story, but on the other hand, it is a story of survival. So I wanted to bring this story to you. It's kind of a positive, it has a positive side. But as always, first, I have a missing person that I want to share with you from Arkansas. And this information comes from neverforgottenarkansas.org, which is the Arkansas Missing Persons Database. And our missing person is Floyd Allen. And he is 12 years old, so just a baby, a child. He is a black male. He's 5'4", 110 pounds, with brown hair and brown eyes. And he went missing on March 12th of this year, so less than a month ago. So I wanted to get this information out to you quickly, in hopes of best case scenario finding this child safe. There's not a whole lot of information, no alias names, no identifying features, but here is a picture of Floyd. So please burn that in your memory, and I will put a link to this in the description box so you can share it. Please share it. Social media, Facebook, friends, family, anywhere you can share it, please do share this story so we can hopefully find this beautiful child. Alright, and if you have any information, you can contact the Pine Bluff Police Department at 870-730-2081. I say once again, there's a link in the description box. Please do share it. Alright, so now we will get to our... let me find the right article. There it is. Alright, this is the... just a kind of an overview of the case. This is from people.com. I'm not going to read all of it. I'm just going to read the basics of the case. And the offender was found through DNA, I believe, and he was tried and convicted, and I think it says it's serving 4 life sentences, because the Bennett family is not the only family that he killed, unfortunately. So let's get to the article. Let me get down. And here is a picture of the Bennett family. The mother, father, Vanessa, I believe the one on the left is Vanessa, and her younger sister there on the right, I believe, is Melissa. Alright. Okay. Sneaking into unlocked garages, the intruder crept down quiet hallways and up the stairs into unwitting victims' bedrooms, where he stood over them, his face shrouded in darkness, before bludgeoning them with a hammer or some other hard object. Some survived the Colorado Hammer Killer's barbaric attacks, others did not. In the early morning hours of January 6, 1984, 3 members of the Bennett family of Aurora, Colorado, Bruce, 27, his wife Deborah, 26, and their daughter Melissa, 7, were among those killed when the Hammer Killer, later identified as Alex Ewing, beat them to death. Bruce, who is the father, confronted the wild-eyed man at the top of the staircase, fighting him so hard they rolled down the steps, breaking spindles in the staircase. Bruce was no match for Ewing, who bashed the young father's head in with a hammer before slashing his throat with a butcher knife from the kitchen. Ascending the stairs, Ewing assaulted Deborah and the girls and beat them with the hammer. I just cannot imagine the horror that this family went through. It's just heartbreaking. Only one of the members of the close-knit family survived, the couple's youngest daughter, Vanessa, who was just 3 years old when Ewing attacked her with the hammer, shattering her jaw, skull, arms, and legs. And there's a picture of the People magazine cover, and there is Vanessa on the right as an adult. Vanessa was found that morning wedged between her bed and the wall, covered in blood, unconscious from the hammer hits, but somehow clinging to life. As the sole survivor of the horrifying home invasion, the once bright-eyed little girl was now alone in the world, forced to grow up without her mother, father, or sister. This is just a horrifying story. There's no fixing what he took from me, Vanessa said. And it goes on to say her story was featured in People magazine. So we're going to skip forward to more of the details. Unbeknownst to Vanessa and others at the time, she and her family were the victims of one of the most vicious serial killers ever to prey upon Colorado residents. Over a span of 12 terrifying days in January 1984, Ewing committed 4 attacks in the metro Denver area, 3 in Aurora when he attacked Jim and Kim Hobenschild and Donna Holm, who survived, as well as the Bennetts, and 1 in nearby Lakewood where he killed interior designer Patricia Smith, 50. And I believe here is a picture of Vanessa. It's a beautiful, beautiful child. Ewing's violent spree continued 11 days later in Arizona when he attacked Roy Williams with a rock as he lay sleeping in his Kingman home. It finally ended on August 9, 1984 in Nevada, where he was arrested for attempted murder for attacking Nancy and Chris Berry in Henderson with an axe handle. Authorities weren't sure that they had a serial killer on their hands until 2018, when DNA evidence surfaced tying Ewing, who is already in prison serving a 40-year sentence in Nevada for attacking the Henderson couple, to the Bennett and Smith murders. Convicted in 2021 for the Bennett murders and in 2022 for killing Smith, Ewing, 61, is serving 4 consecutive life sentences. Vanessa survived, but says she feels like she has been sentenced to a life of pain, both emotionally and physically, and as she still tries to make sense of the chaos that left her scarred at such a young age. I just cannot imagine. For one, it's a miracle that she survived. And when I get to her interview, you'll just be amazed by her story of her life after this happened. And there is a picture of, I believe, Vanessa and her sister, Melissa. Vanessa says, I was suicidal a lot starting at age 17, she tells People. Over the years, she struggled with homelessness and drug addiction as she fought to escape the trauma that has plagued her since she was a little girl. These days, Vanessa is on her way to healing, which is fantastic to hear. When she turned 30, she says she made a vow to herself to stop being a victim. I applaud her for that. If this had happened to me, I don't know that I would have had the strength that this lady has. I would like to think I would, but realistically, probably not. In the past few years, she has gotten clean. She has moved into a 2-bedroom apartment with her husband, Frankie Wheeler, 39, and their cat. Having spoken about her ordeal around the country, she hopes to one day finish getting her college degree and become a drug counselor. Even though Vanessa's journey has been much harder than most, she now knows she can get through anything. I am unbreakable, she says. I am a survivor. Absolutely. And that's, like I said, that's the main reason I want to bring in this story, to focus on the survivor of this horrific crime. As for Ewing, she says, he is a coward. Absolutely. Alright, so that is the background. In case you weren't, aware of this crime, which I wasn't. I'd heard about it, but I didn't know the details about it. So now we will go to Vanessa's interview, which is just amazing to me. Right, and here is a picture of Vanessa now. Beautiful lady. Survivor. Most important thing, a survivor. And this article is from November of 2019. It says she was the sole survivor of one of Colorado's most brutal crimes, and now she is telling her story. And that is always important. I've always believed that survivors telling their story is a part of the healing process. So I applaud her for having the courage to tell her story. Vanessa Bennett barely survived an attack that left her parents and sister dead. Now, for the first time, she talks publicly about the way that 1984 assault continues to reverberate in her life. Vanessa Bennett sat under a picnic shelter on a muggy Arizona morning and talked for the first time about the physical and emotional toll she bears as the only surviving victim of one of Colorado's most brutal crimes. Bennett is 38 now, and the scars of the 1984 hammer attack that left her clinging to life are visible. I don't remember anything at all, she told Nine Wants to Know on Thursday in her first interview in more than 2 decades. Honestly, people ask me that all the time if I remember things, but I don't. I remember bits and pieces of the last Christmas, and I remember she was only 3 years old when this happened. And I don't know about you, but 3, I don't remember much of anything about when I was 3. And then she goes through this horrible attack, that she probably, her mind, I would assume, they say if people go through trauma, the mind blocks it out, and sometimes they never remember, and then sometimes it comes back, in bits and pieces. That last Christmas was 1983. Her parents, Bruce and Deborah Bennett, had just moved into a new home in Aurora. Vanessa was 3, and her sister Melissa was 7. Vanessa's life changed on January 16th, 1984. Her grandmother, Constance Bennett, went to the family's home that morning after her son and daughter-in-law didn't show up for work at the family's furniture business. She walked into a scene of absolute horror. And I can just, don't even want, I always say I can imagine, but just a figure of speech. You can never imagine walking into something like that, because you know it had to be an absolutely brutal scene. Bruce Bennett crumpled near the bottom of the stairs, Deborah Bennett and Melissa dead in their bedrooms, and Vanessa was barely breathing. The attacker was savage, beating all four with a hammer, slashing Bruce Bennett's throat with a butcher knife as he fought to save his family. I was in a coma, Vanessa said Thursday. My jaw was wired shut. I had tubes in my nose to eat. I went through physical therapy. I had braces on my legs. The physical injuries were difficult to overcome. I had paralysis on my left-hand side, so I felt handicapped. I had a lot of anger issues growing up. My family really couldn't handle me. I just wore everybody out with my problems. And of course she's going to have trauma, PTSD, behavior problems, all very, very understandable for what she endured when she was just 3 years old. Today, she traces the injuries with her fingers. I have a metal plate in my forehead. I have frontal lobe issues because I was hit in the head with a hammer. My skull kind of breaks. My jaw is shattered. I need a facelift. I had a tracheotomy. I have scars on my ankles, stomach, everywhere pretty much. So she was basically beaten all over her body. I have a shattered pelvis, but I guess I healed pretty well. Some of those problems were fueled by things other kids said to her. And when I read this part of the article, it just, on one hand, it broke my heart. On the other hand, it infuriated me, because we all know how not all kids, but unfortunately a lot of kids are very, very cruel. I was made fun of in school because my parents were killed, she said. I was made fun of because the hammer man, or whatever you want to call it, was going to come to my house and hurt everybody when I had slumber parties. I just cannot imagine the cruelty of some children who would tease this child and say, basically make this, the boogeyman, if we can't come to your house, the boogeyman is going to come kill us. It is just heartbreaking, and just, I can't fathom, I just can't fathom it. I was made fun of for a long time. She was frank as she discussed her life. She had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, PTSD, and ADHD. She also struggled for a decade with substance abuse problems and got into multiple scrapes with the law, which I cannot fault her for that. I mean, going through what she did, you have to find some way to deal with it. It may not always be the right way, but I mean, you do what you got to do to survive, basically. My parents dying is the main reason I started using, she said. I had issues with my grandmother growing up because of my anger issues, and I kind of turned to drugs. I'm not saying just because of her, but I was hurting growing up. She was hurt, and I just chose a different path of trying to make things go away. Then this week, she got 2 phone calls. One from someone with the Aurora Police Department, another from the district attorney's office. They told her a man behind bars in Nevada since August 1984 Alex Christopher Ewing was suspected of being the attacker who altered her life and took her parents and sisters from her. Can you imagine getting that phone call? I think that would be about the best day of my life if something, God forbid, like this ever happened to my family. But then again, I imagine it would cause a lot of anxiety for her too. I'm just assuming this. I can't remember her name, but she said, your parents' killer has been caught. And I was like in shock. I absolutely can believe that she would be in shock. I guess it really hasn't hit me yet. It's been 34 years, but I was just okay. She is getting help now for her mental health and substance abuse issues, and Thursday afternoon, when she was asked if she was hopeful about the future, she answered with a smile. I am. I have big things planned, she said. And that is absolutely wonderful. She has big things planned. I'll get back to a picture. There she is, Miss Vanessa. It's good. She says she has a smile on her face. She's conquered her issues. She's got big things planned. I'm just so amazed and proud of this lady who has overcome so much. She's 3 years old when this happened to her. She lost her whole family. It's just amazing. And I thought I had an article that, let's see if I can find it, because there were other victims of this killer, and I can't, oh, maybe it was in this one. Yeah, okay. Alright, let's go back to Miss Vanessa. But anyway, I just like I said, I wanted to bring you the story. I like bringing you positive stories of survival. I'm going to try to do more stories like this, survival stories, because I think they're just fantastic, and the courage of these people who have survived these brutal crimes deserve to have their stories told. And so I will bring you as many as I can find. If you like, if you want to hear these more of these stories, please let me know in the comments, and please leave your comments about this story. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Maybe leave some encouraging words for Vanessa as she continues her road to recovery, her road to survival. It's just a wonderful, amazing story. Alright, guys, so I hope you enjoyed this. If you like what we do here at Southern Gal True Crime, please do subscribe before you leave. Hit the bell so you get notifications of when we upload new videos. Like and share our videos. Most importantly, our missing persons and unsolved case features. Until next time, please do take care of yourself, be safe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.